G'day, I'm Tim Thompson. Today it's as wet as a shag, so it's perfect for planting my little dwarfed rootstock trellised orchard. Last week we popped over and saw Alan Upton and found out from him all the tips and techniques that he recommends for a small orchard in your home backyard. I'm going to set up this little orchard and plant it out using the information and advice that he's given us, and some great new products. Guys, if you like this kind of content, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, really helps. And don't forget, we've got plenty of content like this, plus instructions about what I'm doing at timthompson.ag. Okay, so we've pulled out all the old trees, we've ripped up the soil in the row that I want to re-establish, and remember, we're going for a trellised fruit row this time. I went over to see Alan Upton. I learned all about establishing trellised trees and the sort of trellising system I got to put into place. We've got the job of hoeing up the land, ready for the tree planting. And I'm going to try out Michael Drinkwater's hand-forged hoe for this rather than the rotary hoe. That's staying in the shed today. What I want to do is I want to try and preserve as much soil structure as I can, get rid of some weeds, prepare the ground for the planting, but not destroy what I've got. After I finish doing this, I'm going to spread over the whole area Agri 90 at a rate of around about 20 kilos per acre, just to get the soil bacteria pumping. So that we can have a really healthy place for those young roots to go into. So let's get into it, wish me luck, and we'll see if I last more than 10 minutes doing it the old-fashioned way. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's a tad masochistic not just to grab the rotary hoe, pull it out and hoe up the row, but I tell you what, I'm really enjoying the use of this tool, and sometimes it just pays to work with your hands. It's not all about the easiest way. Now, as you can see, this is just beautiful soil. Have a look at this structure and the life in it. Look at all those worms. Now, the products that I'm using for this orchard are brand new. Those of you who've seen me install the FS 2000 for sheep fencing, and various other projects will find this product quite familiar, but there are some significant changes. Introducing the brand new to the market FS 3000. Now, this is another Fencestay product. Same posts that you drive the same distance, 1200 millimeters into the ground. You've got a stay now that has a 3 meter span. What's really good about this product though is that we have two different sizes of upright posts that can be added to the system, bringing you to a total height of 1800 or 3 meters above the ground. I'm going for the 3 meter system in this because I need plenty of height to get above my lovely young apple trees. The advantage of this system for me is I don't need a tractor. All I need is this hand rammer and a rattle gun to set the whole thing up. Now let's get the posts in the ground and start making our micro orchard. Yep. wear your eye protection when you're working with wire, and I'm just lightly tensioning this bottom ground wire. I'm not putting too much strain on it because the assemblies aren't put together. I'm just putting enough tension on it so that we can get our line and have everything perfectly lined up. That's why I haven't cut the wire yet. I'm going to come back and restrain this wire and use it as my irrigation wire. Now, because of the length of this, it's actually a two-part process assembling the stay end, but it's not too hard. Because due to the length, this readily grabs anywhere down the post and leaves you free to work at the other end. Now there's a little bit of movement, as you would imagine, in the collar, so to take up that movement, look for the side that's sort of overlapping a bit and stick a screw in that first to pull it up and pull it close together. Now there's a bit of a gap on this side, so we chase the gap and pull the post up nice and tight. And now the post nice and straight and incredibly strong. Now all the assemblies are together and strong, we can start tightening up our wires in readiness for planting. The first wire that we're going to put in is, of course, the bottom wire. Same rule as with fencing. You put your top wire in last because it takes up the most, and you lose the least amount of tension from the bottom. So we're just going to mark 300 on each post. That is where we want to strain our dripper wire to, and that's going to support our irrigation system as we go down the line. Now, just before I start putting strain on this, I'm going to go and make sure that the wire's free all the way down and it's lifted 300 at the other end also, because once I tighten this up, it's not going anywhere. So because we're attaching wire to steel posts, I'm going to use Davo's fencing clips, and it turns what would otherwise be an awkward job into a really easy one. Job's done. Now I'm going to put up the trellis wires that will support the trees, and I'm putting them at 900, 1300 and 1700. And trellis support wires are critical if you're going to grow fruit trees on dwarfing rootstock, because the root system is not capable of supporting the tree by itself, and trees become a bit more like vines. Now, while I'm tying off to the steel posts for my trellis wire, there's going to be a fair bit of strain on them, so I'm going to actually do a double wrap around the post, and that will lock the wire onto the steel post before I tie my end knot. I'm actually going to do a strainer knot in my trellising wires because I want to get the tension on the wires exactly right. And if you strain to the end post, particularly on a short run, you always lose a bit of tension. That was okay with the irrigation wire, but I want to make sure that these guys stay nice and tight and strong and I don't lose any tension. If you want to find out how to do the strainer knot, click the link above and there's a step-by-step guide. Job's done, lunchtime, then let's plant some trees. So if there's one thing we learnt from Alan when we spoke to him the other day about planting these plants, is to make sure you get irrigation on before the plants go in the ground, because these are dwarf rootstocks and they really suffer from a lack of water, especially around planting, and you can lose a couple of months of good spring growth. When we put the plants in the ground, that's when we start training them to go straight up. The first year we're going to hit them with lots of nitrogen, lots of phosphorus. We're going to keep the root system nice and wet. We're going to turn the water on as soon as we finish planting here today and give them a good soaking. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to take off anything that's coming out as a lateral that's more than 1/3 the diameter of our main leader. So as Alan has said, all forks need to stay in the kitchen. Remove all of the forks. This is a little bit of fruiting wood, might even give us an apple this year. The rest of it we're tying up as a leader. So job's done. During the hot summer in the first year, I'm probably going to give them a drink every single day. I'm just going to give them 20 minutes today to help them settle into their new digs. This has been a really rewarding and satisfying little project. And with the FS3000 extended posts that go up to 3 metres in height out of the ground, if you're planting a micro orchard in your patch, these might be worth having a look at. Don't forget, you can also get them in an 1800 extension if you're doing exclusion fences for dogs, roos or any other vermin such as deer. Guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you did and you got some ideas, don't forget, hit the subscribe button, give it a thumbs up, and there's plenty more content on timthompson.ag. See you next week.